Fear the Walking Dead Season 3, Episodes 9 and 10, Minotaur and the Diviner. So, Fear the Walking Dead has finally returned. We're going into, let's see if I remember right, because the commercial showed up like 3 times. I think Fear the Walking Dead is October 22nd or something like that, so we still got a decent amount of time. We actually have a few more weeks than I actually thought we did. We have just over a month. So, we got quite a bit of time. We still have quite a few more episodes, and I'm very curious how things are going to play out going from this point forward. So, the first part of this episode, of course, is the aftermath of Otto's death. You have everybody freaking out because it's like, alright, well, the Native American people are coming in, and everybody at the ranch is freaking out because, like, they killed these people, and they don't know that, if I'm remembering the brothers, I'm pretty sure Jake is the crazy one. And I want to say Sam is the name of the other brother, but I never remember the good brother's name. I only think of the crazy one because he's always doing something that I hate. And I'm pretty sure his name is Jake. So they don't know that he's the one that killed the family. Of course, Madison and Nick are the ones that killed Otto, and nobody knows that. Which we find out Alicia did know that at the end of, I believe, the second episode. We found out that she's no idiot. She knows what's happening. She sees stuff and she knows what's going on. So there's just a lot of secrets going around, and then a very, very tense alliance. We have people coming into this camp, and everybody's just freaking out. Everybody's freaking out like it's just going to be chaos, and basically everyone thinking it'll be chaos is pretty much what makes it chaotic. It's just how it plays out. And so, of course, we have, this kid at the very beginning. He's like, this isn't right. And I was like, he's going to do something dumb. And, of course, he goes along. He ends up being, kind of chatted up in the middle of the night. And so the next day he comes along with a handgun, and he tries to shoot one of the guys, and Nick ends up seeing him. Of course, his name is Terrence. My name is Terrence, by the way, for anyone who may not have known that. I was like, so of course, this kid, his name is Terrence, and, he gets knocked down, and then he gets choked out, and they, crush his windpipe, and apparently he's going to end up dying. So then it's like, alright, well, that was step 1. That was, the first issue that they had, and that was day 1 as well. And it's like, alright, we need to find some way to keep things going. We got to find some way to make this work, and things are already difficult. They're just going to get harder. And they continue to get harder. There was, no resolution until the very end of the second episode. Things were just building and building and building. And if they happen to find water, I think they'll be good. But I'm so curious going into the next episode. If they don't end up finding that water, will they just go right back to it? Or will they be like, you know what? We spent enough time just hoping that we'd find water, and we work together. So maybe we can actually work together and just get, do the 2 gallons per day per person. So, and I know I'm jumping, through, but I feel like the first, especially with the actual story of the ranch, I feel like these 2 episodes actually work perfectly together, and now I understand why they put them together, because when I first found out it was 2 episodes, I was like, oh, I thought it was just going to come back and it would be 1. But these are actually 2 really great episodes to put together, because they flow so perfectly. This is just one right into the next, and it just makes so much sense going into it. But to stick a little bit with the first episode, we have just a lot of chaos. It starts off tense, and then it gets worse. Once the gun is pulled, it's like, alright, we got some issues here, and then that's when things start to play out, where it's like, alright, well, now we need to rally up all the guns. And so, rallying up all the guns, and people are starting to freak out a little bit more. It's like, well, if they have all the control of the guns, we'll basically be prisoners in our own ranch, and everyone's freaking out, just from that. And then you have, naturally, the crazy brother. He's doing his thing, and it's like, I don't want to give him my weapons, and things start to get real crazy. And Nick kind of sticks with him for a sec. I was surprised. I really thought they were going to kill him off when they were in the house, where he's like, I'm not afraid to die, and it's like, it's just good to have company, and you're the last person I thought would actually back me up. And I was just like, I think they might actually kill him, which I also thought that when he was being exiled. I was like, is Madison going to shoot him? Because that's honestly what he deserved. But they go through, he's been stabbed through the hand, they're shooting up the first floor of the house, they run upstairs. Ultimately, he ends up giving up, because Nick is like, alright, tried to convince you this whole time, your dad sacrificed himself to save your life, my life, everybody's life. Don't let that be in vain by, basically kicking up, a war again, this big battle, especially, within the ranch. It's going to happen immediately. And so, it just wasn't working. He tried it, I think, 2 or 3 times, as they're just in this crazy shootout. He's like, don't do this, your dad sacrificed his life, and this and that, and Jake just wasn't listening. So he's like, you know what? You were right. Your dad wasn't going to sacrifice himself. He didn't give a crap. He was going to just let everybody die out of spite, because he didn't want to kill himself or be exiled. They mentioned that was an option, especially when Madison talks about it. And it's like, yeah, he didn't want to do that. so I killed him. And I could not believe, of all the crazy things that have happened, it may have been the craziest that this dude, the craziest person we've seen, gets this information. He points the gun at Nick, but then he's just like, and he just puts the gun down. And he's just like stunned. Like that was the craziest thing in the world to me. That he actually didn't just instantly pull that trigger, and he was just stunned. Like, wow, killed my dad. Like he killed my father. So of course, ultimately that ends up dying down, and it's just a crazy situation. And that's when, he ends up getting exiled. Nick is basically just, he's just put in the box. But he gets exiled, and they take him on the truck, and Madison goes with him. And the dude's, he cuts the rope free and everything. It's like, are you left-handed or right-handed? Because he asked him about his name. It's like, it's a good thing I'm right-handed and stuff because, my left hand got all jacked up. And he slammed his hand on the knife, which freaked the guy out. And he was able to basically yank the knife out of the guy's hand and, basically stab into his chest. And I was like, should have seen that one coming. I knew something was about to happen because he was just talking back and forth. I didn't know he was going to go like crazy, stab my hand, stab through the hole a second time sort of move. Which is pretty cool to see. Admittedly, it was like, oh, that's a pretty hardcore move to do. But I thought, he's just chatting him up and stuff, and he's like, it's a good thing that I'm right-handed. And I thought, as soon as he said that, he's going to, like, knock the knife out of his hand or whatever. But instead, he went the super crazy route and just stabbed through his hand again, which, sure, that would stun most people, but it just didn't seem to make sense that he'd have enough force to do like this, and, like, that's not going to stab straight through you. Like, that's just not enough force. Like, it would have to be... His hand would have had to have turned to stone holding that knife, like, in between it, because the knife would have just pushed back out. It probably would have cut the guy, but if I, like, slam, a knife that's sticking through my hand, like, down on the table, or even, on my leg or something, it's not just going to shoot through my whole leg. It wasn't a serrated knife, if I'm remembering right, so it wouldn't, like, stick in my hand. It would probably slip out, but it is also inside your hand. There's tension and muscles and stuff if you try to close it together, so maybe there's some logic to that, but I was just like, that seems crazy to me, because he stabbed him. It wasn't like he took the knife out of his hand and then stabbed him. He, like, stabbed him with it in his hand, and then he took it out of both, and then he stabbed the guy the second time, and that's when he, like, officially died. But I was like, he went, like, through his whole, like, collarbone and everything, just doing, like, this with the blade in his hand. I was like, I don't know if that would actually work, if there would actually be nearly enough force to actually keep the blade in his hand and go through somebody else's skin as well. I was like, I just don't know if that makes sense, but crazy moment. Just killed another dude, which that was one thing that did bug me about these episodes. I felt like that didn't come up. I was like, he just killed another person while Madison was out with him, and it seemed like they just brushed right over that, and it was just like nothing happened. Like he was gone, and it was just like, that's it. Like he's dead, and they didn't really talk about how crazy that was, or that, if they should probably go after him, and like exile wasn't good enough because he, even in exile, he killed another person. Anything. It was like that happened, and then I felt like he just left, and I was like, they didn't talk about that. He was just gone again. But yeah, that happened, and so then he's gone. Then we cut to Nick having like the dream sequence with him, which was a good scene. When he's like walking like the zombie, then he does the flip. It's like, ta-da! I was like, that is so crazy. It fits his character, but ultimately all of that ends up just being a dream sequence. But it just got crazier and crazier after that, because Nick gets let out, and then he, when he's in the house and stuff later that night, the guys go up to him and it's like, hey, we just wanted to say thank you because we feel like you actually, you and Jake actually stood up for us, and the militia isn't gone. We're still ready to fight if you are. And they give him the last, like, free gun in the whole ranch. And it keeps building up. It builds up and builds up, and then it kind of goes into the second episode where, Madison and the leader, I can't think of his name, but they decide, all right, well, we've got no water, so it's time to go get some. They end up going to this crazy stadium, and it's like, all right, well, that's when the restrictions come in. 2 gallons per person per day. Granted, they do have animals and stuff like that, so, it's a temporary little thing anyway, but that caused some issues. Then there's the idea that some people are, like, double dipping with the water, and then, naturally, chaos just continues to unfold. Like, people just keep fighting and fighting and fighting, and ultimately it comes down to, this is what we need to do. Like, this one woman is taking more than her share, and she's called out for it, and it just doesn't matter. It just causes chaos. It's like, it doesn't matter if someone's actually taking more than their share, because it's like, well, if this person's on my side and they're taking more than their share, no biggie. But of course, if that person on that side is taking more, then it matters. So a huge brawl goes out. Bullet goes in the air. It's like, all right, we're taking over the well. And that's when Nick decides that's not going to happen. And that's when things start to get super tense, because he pulls out the gun. It's like, you're not the only one with the gun, and then everyone bands, his side bands behind him, the other guy's side band behind him. So he's like, all right, we'll keep the peace, try to figure this out. But of course, the militia is like, all right, we go in, we take the weapons. Nick is trying everything he can to not go into like just another stupid battle, because he knows it's not going to work. Like, every time someone brings up the guns, he's like, yeah, they have the guns. We're making spears. We don't need to move the RVs for a defense wall because they have guns. They can shoot through the RVs. They can do whatever. We have knives and shovels and crab and axes, and they have assault rifles. So they're doing everything they can, and everyone around him is basically just saying, bloodshed, 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 and he's trying to make it work. And ultimately, it just comes down to Alicia ended up seeing some people with some dowsing rods, and they believe they found some water, so she helped them out. And when they're going up to the ranch, they see her off to the side, and he decides to give his gun to the other guy, which I thought, admittedly, personally speaking, was a bad idea, because everyone else outside of Nick that was in like this whole little militia thing is ready to kill. And I was like, I'm surprised he gave him the gun. But he did, and then he goes over, and everyone ends up joining him anyway. And then, of course, we got a couple of people, Ophelia and the other two guys in the house. They end up leaving out without their weapons as well. And everyone just starts digging and trying to basically band together in the hopes of finding more water. And I was like, wow, that was surprising. That worked out incredibly well, because they're like right on the hill of the brink of this little house with 3 people in it with guns. Granted, they had assault rifles, but I'm like, man, it's this little army with sticks and knives and everything versus these 3 people with guns, and they're right there. Like, they can see each other, and it's just like, I don't really know how this will play out. And it was super peaceful. It was just like, all right, well, here's the gun. I'm gonna go help my sister. And then Ophelia and the other guy saw that, and they look out, and it's like, cool. He's basically leading these people, even though he gave the guy, the gun, which is why I didn't think that would actually play out as calm as it did. But it's like, he's the one who's kind of leading this, the militia now. And he walked right away from it, and he went to help, dig for more water. I'll do the same. Puts the assault rifle down, they all go out, and then everyone just goes over, and I was like, wow, that was an amazing, resolution to all the tension that built up. It seems super simple, and, like, oddly simple to me that it just worked without dialogue. But it did, and it was like, okay, well, everybody's living for now, and we just kind of have to wait and see what happens with everybody now going to the dam, which was, of course, the other big part of the second episode, and a small part of the first episode. Salazar was there in, like, the very beginning, and it was him and Lola, and I forgot the other guy's name. But they're helping people, they're giving them water and stuff, and he's, constantly looking for his daughter, which makes perfect sense. And then they have, like, a little crazy moment where I think it was, like, the second time they went out. This dude's like, you guys are thieves, and you killed the people at the dam, and they're keeping the water for themselves, which I just thought personally was just the dumbest thing. I was like, I don't know why they even wrote that, because it didn't make any sense. It was like, clearly, the whole point of the dam before was that no one could get water because they could only trade to get the water, and now they're going out in this truck every day just handing out the water, and it's like, what is this guy talking about? It's like, you killed the people in the dam and kept the water for yourselves. And I was like, that, like, literally doesn't make sense in the situation that they were in. So I was like, I don't know how that logically made any sense. But everyone was like, yeah, you guys stole the water and stuff. And it was just like, I know, because we saw the episodes, we know that people were not getting water unless they were trading it, and now they're just getting water, just boom, they're just handing it out to people that need the water every day. So it just made no sense to me. But someone throws a rock at Lola, she starts bleeding, and then they take off, and that was really it. That's all we saw of them, like, the whole time, and then everything else went to the ranch. So it's just like, oh, there was really nothing there. But in the second episode, the other half of the story was a lot more prominent, and that's mostly because Madison and Strand were involved instead of it just being Salazar and then Lola, who's still a new character. So we get to see what's going on with Madison and Strand when they end up reuniting at this, like, crazy bazaar that takes place inside of a stadium, which I thought was really cool when they did that. I was like, wow, this is actually kind of awesome. It's like a legitimate thing where they have dudes in, like, the full-on military outfits who have to feel like pure walking lava at that point. But they had dudes decked out with assault rifles and full military gear, or at least, like, basically like SWAT gear. And I thought that was just cool. And it's like this full bazaar is all different types of shops. There's a dude getting tattoos and stuff like that. And it was just crazy. I was like, wow, I cannot believe that, they have this. And it was just a really cool function. They have people at the front who owe debts, which we find out, because Strand, of course, has debts. But the reason those people are out there is because they owe debts to whoever, and so they have to stay out there as defense and just fight off, zombies all day long. So it was just really crazy. I was like, I love the idea of this place. And they go in, there's like a dude auctioning off a dirt bike and stuff, and people are yelling and putting their fingers up, and it's just an auction. I was like, this is actually really cool. This is something like I don't think I've ever seen in like a zombie show or like anything zombie related. And I just thought that was awesome. I was like, that is really cool. It legitimately was just like a big flea market. So they go through. They initially have their great plan. It's like, hey, we got all this gold. We just need like, I think they needed 10,000, but the lady was like, I can get like half of that, and that'll be everything. But of course, Strand ends up showing up. Madison decides to use all their money to save him, pay off his debts. And then it's like, all right, well, instead of getting the water from her, we'll just go to the dam, which we know will actually work out because, they'll have Strand. And then she can also be like, hey, didn't know you were alive. Turns out your daughter's alive as well. So, of course, they'll end up getting the water and everything. Should be fairly copacetic. We'll see how that plays out because, Ophelia's not exactly on the same side as Madison and stuff anymore. So we'll see how that works with Salazar teaming up with all of them and then going back to the ranch and just how that's going to play out. So I am very curious because Lola being introduced as a character, the dam being, such a big point in the series at this point right now, I'm curious how that's going to play out because he will leave to find his daughter. But, I'm just curious how that'll work ultimately. But it was cool. I was like, alright. So, Strand is back with the team. Him and Madison are together. He learns about what happened with Travis, which was, I thought that was a pretty good moment. Like, Madison didn't actually have to say that he died. She was just like, our children are alive. And then he got it, from that context. And it was like, that really sucks. So, it was a nice moment. It was cool to see him come back. And, he was about to get killed. But, of course, last minute, after using up all the money, he ends up being saved. And the dudes come out with the silence pistols, which I thought was really cool. Another thing you don't really see that often in a zombie thing, even though it's in the regular series as well. They come out, they're just like full cowboys too, which was like the funniest thing to me. I don't know why, but they were just like walking around like they were ready to just like draw on somebody super quick. But they all get rescued, or Strand gets rescued, and Madison's cool with it, and other guy's not so cool with it. But they'll get the water. I'm sure everything will be fine there, and then they go back. But it seems like there's some tension that doesn't exactly play out too well based on the promo. It's like, my people come first, there's no water, my people come first. So maybe they don't get the water like right off the top, or there's some other random issue. Maybe it's just taking a long time to get there because zombies, But I am looking forward to the next episode. These were definitely 2 good episodes. Like I said, putting them together I thought was a great idea. I just think they work really well together. But we'd love to know what you guys thought about these 2 episodes, so please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about them, your least favorite parts about these 2 episodes. I definitely want to know what you guys think is going to happen with Jake, because I don't think we've seen the last of him. He's not dead, so they're going to do something with that guy. He's crazy. Either you kill the crazy character, or you don't kill him. You don't just, he's gone. Like, you don't just exile the craziest character, and then we never see them again, as if that'll actually happen. He'll do something. He will come back. It might be small, and then it builds up. He might just come back. It might be like a governor situation where it's like, oh, we thought he was gone. Poof, he's back with an army. I don't think he'll come back with a tank, but I'm just saying, I think he might come back and it'll be really nuts. But we'll have to know your theories on that, and in general, how things are going to play out for the second half of this season. If you guys have any theories just from here going up to the season finale, we'll love to know those thoughts as well. So please put your comments down in the comment section below, and of course, thanks for watching.